Good, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. One of the problems we have in Zimbabwe is that we have a corrupt, incompetent opposition who don't even know what is it they are there to do. They participate in flawed elections out of greed. And soon afterwards, they shed buckets of crocodile tears about how Zanu PF rigged the elections. When they are the ones who are participating in flawed elections to give the regime legitimacy. Here is a video clip of one of the opposition leaders who participated in the 2023 elections.
It's unfortunate that Zimbabwe keeps going down the same road. In 2017, we were presented with this opportunity for a new future. Now we've got this new mantra saying, we must keep the president in power because he's doing such a great job. This is why we are launching this community hall initiative. We are covering the entire country because we want to put it on record. No one wants 2030. If you speak to people, there are hundreds of people gathered here today, and they will tell you clearly, Atichada, Taneta, Achidadi kunyeperwa. We want something very different every single time they go to elections. Makape raisa nouya, Atichada. My youth are kutitida mabasa, to that industry. We are no longer interested in this. So as UZA, we are going to make sure that the voice of the citizens is on record. This factional fight, we are not going to get involved in it.
Well, that's very rich. You got involved in the 2023 elections. Did you not know that that process was flawed? That Zanu PF was rigging those elections? How many times have you been warned that without reforms, Zanu PF will rig the elections? And yet, you decided to participate regardless. Why? Why did you participate in an election process which, according to David Coulthard there, and he's absolutely right, is so flawed, so illegal, that the only logical step was to withdraw? You joined in because, like CCC, MDC, Maduku's party, and all the other opposition parties who participated, you also knew that Zanu PF was giving a few gravy train seats to entice the opposition to keep participating. And that is what we were after. After the 2018 elections, Mnangagwa made the enticement even more tempting by creating this supernumerary body called POLAD, where losing presidential candidates joined the body, and they were given twin cab trucks worth US $60,000 plus many other packs. That enticed many to decide they would participate. Mnangagwa realized that in 2023, there was going to be a flood of presidential candidates after the POLAD benefits. And so he introduced this US 20,000 nomination fee. Of course, not many could raise that amount of money. And so in the end, there were only about 10 presidential candidates. And typical of the tyrant that he is, he forgot about the POLAD because it had accomplished what he wanted. He wanted more candidates in the opposition to participate in the 2023 elections. And he got his wishes. We cannot keep on pretending that the opposition did not know that participating in these flawed elections is not doing the nation any favor. They knew it. They decided they would participate regardless. So to now speak of, we want the voice of the people to be heard, was the voice of the people heard in the 2023 elections? Zanu PF blatantly rigged those elections. Even the election observers from the region, SADC and the AU, who have in the past turned a blind eye to Zanu PF rigging, in 2023, they condemned those election processes as flawed and illegal. And our opposition candidates, those who had won those few gravity seats, took up their gravity seats regardless of the damning SADC and AU reports. And those presidential candidates who had lost the elections, like yourself from UZA, they did not condemn the process. I'm sure they were hoping that Mnangagwa will give them the opportunity to publicly announce that the election process had been free, fair, and credible, and thus revive POLAD. They were wrong, of course, because Mnangagwa has never revived POLAD. And so all those losing opposition candidates lost their 20,000 US dollars. And now they are campaigning to remain relevant in the hope that in the next election they will win at least some of the few gravity seats. So when this lady says UZA is not going to participate in the Zanu PF factional war, let's be clear. The Zanu PF regime is the government of the day. And it was UZA, CCC, and all these other opposition parties' participation in the 2023 elections that gave the regime legitimacy. And now those who were responsible in landing the nation into this mess must come up with a plan of how are they going to stop the regime steamrolling the nation, rigging the referendum to extend Mnangagwa through. How are you going to do it? To say you're not going to participate is not good enough. You're already campaigning there. Is that not participating? Are you going to continue campaigning for a no vote in the referendum? Because if you do, as long as you participate, you will give the process legitimacy. Just as you participated in the flawed 2023 elections. You should have never participated in those flawed elections. And when SADC and the AU condemned the process as flawed, you should have come out right and denounced them. And you should have been demanding from there on that Zanu PF must implement the democratic reforms to ensure that future elections, referendums, whatever, are indeed free, fair, and credible. And the results are the true democratic wishes of the people of Zimbabwe. You compromise that, and Zanu PF is expecting you to compromise again. Zanu PF is expecting you to participate in the flawed referendum. We know that Zanu PF will rig the referendum, just as it rigged the 2023 elections. And the regime will turn around with the usual arrogance and tell everybody that he doesn't care. Here is Mnangagwa denouncing the SADC report and what SADC had to say with the usual dismissive arrogance.
Vana vakatuka Zanu PF kana ini ndonyanyisa kufara ndokutiita zvakanaka. Ukavona vavengi vako vachikurumbidza unenge uchikanganisa. Ukavona vachiti Zanu PF yakaipa, farai. Because you are doing correct things for your country. Hongu takaita maelections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelections anofamba zvakanaka ndezvavo.
Well, if the truth be told, the elections were not free, fair, and credible. And it is not SADC and the AU's affair. It is our affair. It is the ordinary Zimbabweans who are paying the price of another rigged election. We cannot keep on having an illegitimate regime in power. But by the same token, we cannot pretend that our corrupt and incompetent and greedy opposition are the ones who are giving the Zanu PF legitimacy, who are perpetuating the dictatorship. I find it infuriating that the opposition who gave Zanu PF legitimacy are in the habit of coming to the people, shedding buckets of crocodile tears about how Zanu PF is oppressing the people and how much people are suffering, when they are the ones, in the case of MDC CCC, we had the golden opportunity to implement the democratic reforms, which would have stopped Zanu PF rigging the elections. And they failed to implement even one token reform in 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU. And they've been participating in flawed elections, knowing fully well that Zanu PF was rigging the elections. And that by participating, they will give Zanu PF legitimacy and perpetuate the people's suffering. But they continue to do it out of greed. They were after the few graviton seats Zanu PF gives away to entice the opposition to participate. We need to sort this mess out. We need to confront the opposition and tell them in no uncertain terms that they should stop selling out to Zanu PF. That is the reality that the people of Zimbabwe are facing right now. MDC, CCC, and all these other opposition parties, by participating in 2023, gave Zanu PF legitimacy. And they should not be shedding crocodile tears about how oppressive the regime has become, because they are the ones who created this monster. And we are paying dearly for it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.